President Donald Trump has slammed French President Emmanuel Macron for suggesting that his early exit from the G7 summit was tied to a possible Israel-Iran ceasefire. As President Macron spoke of diplomatic offers and U.S. leadership, President Trump called it publicity seeking and said President Macron always gets it wrong. The president also said he's striving to achieve a real end to the conflict between Israel and Iran and not settle just for a ceasefire. The disagreement unfolded in public as world leaders gathered in Canada for the G7. And on the final day of the summit, French President Emmanuel Macron told reporters that President Trump was returning to Washington to work on brokering a ceasefire between Israel and Iran.
If the United States of America can achieve a ceasefire, it is a very good thing and France will support it and we wish for it. Then, I say, it is absolutely essential that all strikes from both sides against energy, administrative, and cultural infrastructures, and even more so against the civilian population, cease. Nothing justifies this and they are absolutely intolerable. And then, as soon as the ceasefire is achieved, and I think the announcements made by President Trump are very positive and the role that the United States of America will have to play is key. The French alongside them, the British and the Germans are available to resume serious discussions that we have never stopped.
The French president suggested the U.S. had made an offer to Iran not just for a ceasefire, but to open the door for broader negotiations.
Comment vous interprétez manifestement son départ précipité du G7 précisément à cause de la situation entre Israël et l'Iran? Est-ce qu'il y a une nouvelle offre de négociation américaine? Est-ce qu'elle comporte par exemple la possibilité d'une rencontre entre Trump et le président iranien?
Listen, this is what I am saying. Listen, there is an offer that has been made. Indeed, of meetings and exchanges. There is an offer that has been made, especially to have a ceasefire and to initiate broader discussions. And I think this is a very good thing. So now we need to see what the stakeholders will do.
But President Trump fired back hours later, accusing President Macron of spreading false information for attention. On Truth Social, President Trump wrote, quote, "Publicity-seeking President Emmanuel Macron mistakenly said that I left the G7 summit to go back to work on a ceasefire." End quote. He added the reason Macron gave was wrong and he was cutting short his trip for something bigger. President Trump did not clarify what much bigger meant, but made it clear his return had nothing to do with Israel, Iran, or any negotiation. President Macron, while speaking to reporters, also went on to say that if a ceasefire is reached, the nuclear deal talks could be reactivated through a resolution commission.
And so we are available. Moreover, the JCP texts provide for resuming discussions on the nuclear issue as soon as a ceasefire is achieved. In particular, it is provided by the texts that a resolution commission can meet. This is the last step before the famous snapback mechanism is activated.
The French leader also made it clear military strikes on civilians or infrastructure from either side must stop. Now the clash between the two leaders exposes a deep divide while France pushes for talks and de-escalation. President Trump is projecting a hardline stance with no interest in appearing soft on Iran. But this wasn't just about the Middle East. President Macron also mentioned U.S.-EU coordination on Russian sanctions, saying President Trump had given a positive response to efforts by Senator Lindsey Graham to move forward. And President Macron said the next round of European sanctions against Russia could be a game changer, more severe and designed to hit raw materials and financial networks.
The European Union has prepared a new set of sanctions, but which is, by its nature, a profound break with the previous ones. It is not simply the 18th set of measures. It is through the radical nature of the economic measures that are being taken on the financial or raw materials front, something that is likely to truly change the impact on the Russian economy.
But in the middle of it all, the Israel-Iran crisis remains unresolved and global leaders seem split on who should lead the way. What was supposed to be a coordinated call for peace turned into a public war of words. And as the fighting continues in the Middle East, the West still struggles to find a united voice.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
Stands at $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktur
Hindi,
$30 trillion ka karj ho.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Sekali radikali.
Japanese,
4 兆ドル以上も
Portuguese,
por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select a language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.